ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be a cozy winter reading vlog. And when I say cozy, what I primarily mean is just a very chill, laid back, relaxed weekend because it's gonna be a weekend full of horror reads. I have so many anticipated releases from the end of last year and now the beginning of this year that I want to get to. The Winterween readathon just concluded. It ended yesterday and I am just still in the mood to read some horror. So that's what we're gonna do. It's a very hopefully chill and laid back weekend. I was talking about this in my Winterween readathon vlog, but that vlog in terms of the weather had everything from the first snowfall of the year to the first tornado watch of the year. So we'll see what the weather holds. I do think we're supposed to get some snow Monday, Tuesday, and so this is a 3-day weekend. Sorry if you can hear my dog complaining in the background. It is a 3-day weekend. I think we're supposed to get snow on Monday, I think. So fingers crossed for that, because that would really make the cozy stay in and read all weekend vibes absolutely complete. But yeah, this is just going to be a very cozy winter horror reading vlog. Like I mentioned before, I am about 100 pages into Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. This is about a small town that a mysterious orchard starts growing some apples. People become obsessed with the apples and things start happening to the people who consume the apples. So this is giving me, just in terms of the scope of the story, it's a small town, something sinister is happening in the middle of it, and we're jumping around from person to person who live in this town. It's really giving me almost Needful Things vibes by Stephen King, and just overall I'm really enjoying my time with it. So definitely going to be finishing this weekend, and then the rest of it is just completely up to both my whims as a mood reader and then the whims of the Libby app and the hold system on there and what horror books that I managed to get. As I'm speaking, actually, also NetGalley. This also is going to be heavily influenced by NetGalley because I just got approved. Wow, okay, I just got approved for An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson, which is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, yeah, this comes out February 12th, so we're gonna be reading that this weekend as well. I think this is more fantasy. It's more of like a dark academia sort of fantasy, I think. But S.T. Gibson also wrote a vampire book before, A Dowry in Blood, which I really, really love. So this could be horror adjacent for sure. Okay, so TBR, we're definitely finishing Black River Orchard and then An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. We're reading those. We'll see what other horror and like dark fantasy that we can fit on the TBR this long weekend. But yeah, I figured I would just hop on here, introduce the vlog. I do still have to work a little bit today. It's Friday, but then after that we've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday to just sit back, relax, and read some really good horror fiction. So that is the plan for this vlog. And quite honestly, my whole day is made now that I got accepted for that e-arc of that S.T. Gibson book. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go get to work and I will check back in with another reading update a little bit later. Might not have been the best of ideas to eat some fruit with this particular horror book, but at least these are peaches and not apples. Hey friends, happy Sunday. I hope everyone is staying super safe and warm in this very cold weather. It is super cold outside. It's about 20 degrees and it feels like 14, so definitely the perfect weekend to stay in and read. I did manage to finish Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. I don't have the physical copy anymore because I had to return it to the library yesterday, but I do have a nice little graphic that's popping up here. I really enjoyed it. Small town story. We're following like an ancient evil and then like an evil that's kind of seeping into the town, and we're following multiple different perspectives from the town. I actually was able to read a lot of this via the audiobook because I got the audiobook from Libby as well, and it is a multi-narrator audiobook. It is primarily narrated by Xe Sands, who is one of my favorite audiobook narrators. So all in all, it was a really enjoyable reading experience, and I definitely want to check out more by this author. I think the next book I'd probably pick up is the Book of Accidents, because that was one when it came out, added it to my never-ending TBR, and then just never got around to reading it. So that is the first book I've managed to finish this vlog, and at 600 or so pages, definitely I think the longest book that I am going to read this weekend as well. And just because I like picking up multiple books at a time, it's very rare that I only have one book going, especially because I like different book formats. Like I like having an audiobook and then a physical book. So last night I picked up An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This comes out in February. I think I already mentioned at the beginning of this vlog that I just got the NetGalley e-arc, so this is one of my most anticipated of the year. So even though it's not really horror, I think it's going to be like a dark academia romantic sort of tale with like fantasy elements in there. I believe I am 16% of the way through this one, and Storygraph says this is 272 pages, and oh my gosh, I am loving this one so much. Just like from the first page or so, I was captivated. I absolutely love S.T. Gibson's writing, at least from what I had read in A Dowry of Blood, and I am pleased to report that this is turning out to be like the same very beautiful, lush writing. Our story takes place in Massachusetts, St. Perpetua's College in the 1960s. It is a college for women, and here secrets are currency, ambition is lifeblood, and strange ceremonies welcome students into the fold. On her first day of class, Laura Sheridan is thrust into an intense academic rivalry with the beautiful and enigmatic Carmilla. Together they are drawn into the confidence of their very demanding poetry professor, who holds her own dark obsession with Carmilla. But as Laura and Carmilla's rivalry blossoms into something far more delicious, Laura must confront her own strange hungers. Tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors, and dark magic, Laura and Carmilla must decide how much they are willing to sacrifice in their ruthless pursuit of knowledge. So again, not even 20% of the way into this one so far, but the writing is wonderful, and I think if you like The Dowry of Blood, you're really going to like this one as well. So I'm excited to keep reading. Very dark, very atmospheric story. I really like how it's taking place in the 1960s as well. I feel like S.T. Gibson does a really good job of rooting a story in a specific place and time and having that add to the atmosphere. So looking forward to continuing on with this book. And then my next book is also an e-arc because I just have been having really good luck with NetGalley recently. So I'm also going to listen via audiobook Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine. This is narrated by the author, which I think is pretty cool. I haven't really started this one yet, but I am anticipating this one being my audiobook for the weekend. It's another short one. The audiobook's only about 5 hours, so I think that's like 200-ish pages. Let me double, okay, 176 pages. So I have a good feeling about both of them. I have a good feeling just based on the cover of Your Shadow Half Remains that it's going to be a very interesting horror release, and Tor Nightfire is an imprint that very rarely steers me wrong with their releases. So I'm very excited to pick both of these up, but those are my plans. Just a laid back weekend, staying cozy. I'm going to go get to reading my dark academia, and I think the other one is post-apocalyptic. Gonna go warm up with the pups on the couch, start reading again, and have just a nice cozy Sunday. Hey friends, it is later on Sunday, about 10 p.m. to be exact, and I do have a lot of reading updates, and I'm gonna keep reading throughout the night, do some parallel play while my partner plays Minecraft. So I did want to give a little reading update just in between last update and then tomorrow's update, because I did finish a book. I'm really making some great progress through my other book that I was talking about, and depending on how that goes, depending on how late I stay up, we might just go ahead and keep these good times going and pick up another book. So first of all, I finished Your Shadow Half Remains by Moraine, and I did listen to the audiobook, which was narrated by the author, which is really cool. She did a great job, and I think her voice, obviously as a writer, she knew what kind of voice that she wanted for her main character and how things, especially I think that's very important in such an internal novella like this was, how things play out and how you really get to know Riley, our main character. I thought that was really nicely done, that the author got to narrate this audiobook. So Your Shadow Half Remains. It's been comped to The Last of Us and Bird Box, and I say that with hesitation because while the apocalypses might be similar between all three of these works, the other two especially are like series, and they're very much more action-packed, even though they do have emotional beats. I'm thinking especially The Last of Us has very emotional beats, and it's not necessarily just a show about zombies or anything like that. I hesitate to say this is for fans of that because it's definitely more of an internal book. It's a novella. You're not going to get like a huge post-apocalyptic saga, so just keep that in mind. While the scenarios in the post-apocalyptic setting might be similar, the story tone is very different, but we are following our main character, Riley. The apocalypse has come, and it has come in this specific scenario. All of a sudden, one day, if you look into the eyes of another person, you become insane and you just become incredibly violent and kill those around you, and then usually end up killing yourself. So Riley, our main character, survives this initial onslaught, like the patient zero, the big initial outbreak, she's living in a cabin in the middle of the woods by herself, surviving pretty well for herself, even though it is clear that she has trauma. She has a whole world and a life that she's left behind, but she's feeling like she's doing okay until someone moves down the street from her. This is the first person she's even like communicated with in such a long time, and as she gets to know Ellis and starts to form a human connection, which is something that's been missing from her life since the apocalypse happened, Riley starts craving that connection and craving a return to normalcy. And even though this is a world where being alone is your only guarantee at being safe and surviving, she starts feeling safe with Ellis. So what happens when she starts craving, wanting to look upon Ellis in the face? Yeah, I enjoyed it. This was a novella, but the audiobook's about 5 hours. I really enjoyed it, and definitely I would be checking out more by the author. This is a Tor Nightfire release. I feel like they do a really good job curating a good variety of horror and just like a good variety of subgenres of horror. So if you like post-apocalyptic horror, this is trigger warnings, I say, mostly for body horror, both real and imagined, and just, you know, isolation, because Riley lives in constant fear of obviously looking someone in the face, looking them in the eyes, and then becoming insane and being a danger to herself and others. So lots of times she has these intrusive thoughts about what happens if she just, you know, look at this person or look at this person, and what would happen to her and what would happen to the other person. Also trigger warning for animal abuse, animal mutilation, and just body mutilation in general. But overall, thought this was a very quick, well-paced novella. I think this is like a really well done audiobook production. It was great as well, and this comes out, I believe, the very beginning of February. So if any of that sounds up your alley, definitely check that out in February. And then my next book, An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I'm 30% of the way through this one. I'm loving it so much. I'm loving it so much. It's dark academia enemies, or not even really enemies, but like academic rivals to lovers, which I love that. And it is a little bit supernatural as well. I think there's something a little bit maybe vampiric going on. I'm not too sure. Obviously we have Carmilla as a main character, so that is probably a nod to Carmilla as, you know, Carmilla the vampire novel. But I feel like I'm gonna finish that one tonight because I'm tearing through it. I am really loving it. It is one where just the descriptions of academia, the description of these two young women who are obsessed with each other, and at first it's an obsession born out of rivalry because they're both poets. They're in like this poetry seminar and they're both the best of the best, and they're like vying for the top slot. So just having that academic obsession with each other that's like hatred and jealousy of one another turning into probably something a little bit more. I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up and I'm loving it. After I finish that, I'm not really sure what I'll pick up. I'm thinking maybe something a little bit wintry. It's been such a fun, like, snowy day outside. We've been lucky enough that, you know, we have heat, we have power, we're able to stay indoors today. We'll be able to stay indoors, me all day, my partner most of tomorrow. And so while it's like so cold, our dogs are really loving the snow. It's Obi's first time seeing snow, and he in particular is very enchanted. Bruce has fun in it, but he also is excited to come back inside and snuggle up in blankets and just be out of the cold weather. Obi's just absolutely obsessed with frolicking in the snow. He's learned that it's edible. He also likes ice as like a little snack. I'm not gonna say the word that starts with TR because he will hear me, but he likes ice as a snack, and he has just realized that snow is essentially ice. So he's been enjoying frolicking, trying to eat the snow. It's been a good time. It's been a good time staying indoors and enjoying just the beauty of the snow. And so yeah, just been feeling very lucky that it snowed and it's like a weekend, so me and my partner don't have to go anywhere, and it's just like that first day, that first snow of the year that where the snow really sticks to the ground and no one's really going out anywhere, so it's very much like unblemished snow. It's just very beautiful outside, and I just love seeing my dogs have just a wonderful time playing in the snow and just being so excited to see snow. But yeah, I'm gonna go get back to reading, in particular An Education in Malice, and I will check back in with y'all with another reading update tomorrow. friends, happy Monday. It is yet another very cold day outside, so we are continuing our cozy reading weekend vibes. I am about 60% of the way through an education in Malice, and I'm loving it. I know it's only January. I know it's the very first month. I haven't even read like 10 books so far this year yet, but I feel like it could be one of my favorites of this year. I'm really loving it, and I love it when an anticipated release from an anticipated author that I've loved something else from that author before. I love it when like reality meets those expectations, so I'm really enjoying it, really loving it still. Since it is a shorter book, there's not too much more I want to touch on that I hadn't talked about in my last reading update, but it's going really well. And then I also picked up an audiobook for the ambiance because yesterday Dead of Winter by Darcy came in on the Libby at My Hold came in. So I mean, look at this cover. I feel like it's a very perfect book to pick up during a snowy weekend. So I'm going to read this via audiobook. This will be my third Darcy Coates book. She's kind of, I feel like, one of the queens of cozy horror. This one I have heard it does get a little bit darker, I think, than some of her other books. So I don't know how much of a cozy horror this is gonna be. This feels a lot more survivalist. Essentially, our main character and her boyfriend decide to go on this expedition trip. It's not supposed to be an expedition, but it's supposed to be they're going to a secluded resort in the middle of the mountains just to relax and unwind for about a week or so. And on the way up, their bus gets stranded, and their tour guide and all of the other people who were going to this resort with them, they're stranded. They manage to find this cabin to take shelter during this big storm that breaks their bus down and makes them unable to reach the resort. So they're staying at this cabin. First night they wake up, their tour guide is dead. He's been murdered, so it's kind of like a locked room-ish murder mystery because obviously it's just this group of people. They're in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to run. A blizzard is keeping them stuck pretty much inside this small little cabin, and they're trying to figure out, as people start to go missing one by one, which one of them is behind these sinister activities. So I am 20% of the way through this one. I'm really enjoying it. I'm a Darcy Coates fan. I feel like I can say that now because From Below, I read that, loved it. And then I wanted to say that I like Darcy Coates, but obviously it's just one book and she has so many. So for Winterween, I actually checked out Gallows Hill, and I really enjoyed that one as well. Not as much as From Below, but I did really enjoy it, and really got a sense for Darcy Coates, I feel like, as a writer, and I really enjoy her style of horror and what she's bringing to the table. This one I've seen from reviews, and also I just feel as I'm reading it, it is a little darker in tone. It's not as cozy, but it's still really enjoyable. So that's my audiobook, and then my physical book or e-copy of the book, Education in Malice. I'm gonna read both of those. I'm going to be finishing an Education in Malice today. Dead of Winter, I'm not too sure. I've got about 8 hours left, so I'm thinking I'm probably not going to finish it today, but never say never, because I don't have too much to do today other than just relax and hang out and read. So who knows, I might get to more of my audiobook than I'm anticipating, but those are my two main books. Last night I didn't actually end up reading as much as I thought, just because I kind of fell down like my library's online catalog, and I was requesting titles, like new titles for the new year, and then placing holds on some books as well. So I fell down a rabbit hole that way, just because I don't have any physical books checked out from the library at the moment, and I am kind of missing holding a book physically, even though I have gotten a lot more comfortable reading ebooks than I used to be, just because it's a lot harder. I mean, I don't have a tablet or anything like that, so when I read an ebook, I'm just reading on my phone, which is harder for me to do than just read a physical book. So while I am more comfortable in reading ebooks, and of course I love audiobooks, it's nice to have some physical books too. So I was requesting some books. The library is actually going to be closed. They sent out an email. They're going to be closed tomorrow as well. So I probably won't get those anytime soon. I think I'll probably wait until the weekend, next weekend, to go to the library and get some physical books. But yeah, that's all I really have for this update. Yeah, it's just going to be another laid back day of reading. So I'll check back in. I'm not sure if I'll check back in tonight or not. I think me and my partner are planning on making some cheese dip and watching a movie and enjoying our long weekend snow day. We're hoping, fingers crossed. He actually had to go into the lab today just to work for a little tiny bit, and he said that the roads were pretty bad, so we're hoping that he has a snow day tomorrow. Luckily I work from home, so I'll be working, but I don't have to go out and brave the roads. So fingers crossed that he has a snow day tomorrow, but we'll see. If I don't update tonight, I'll update tomorrow morning with another reading update, and I will talk to y'all later. Hey friends, happy Tuesday. It is yet another snow day, which is just fantastic. I'm really glad that my partner didn't have to brave the roads. I'm actually still working a little bit today, but we're counting it as a snow day because it's just fun to have him home all day. The dogs are really liking having both of us home all weekend too, let me tell ya. But a little bit of a reading update before we go ahead and end this snowy winter vlog. But I finished an education in Malice. I loved it. I loved it. Definitely my favorite book of 2024 so far. And I actually found out last night as well, St. Gibson has another book coming out in like March or April. So yeah, I'm really excited. This worked really, really well for me. I love a good dark academia book. I love a good vampire book. I love a sapphic vampire book. And I just, first of all, this, maybe I'm not the right person to judge spice levels because I don't read a lot of romance or books with traditionally very spicy scenes, but this was a lot more spicy and intense than A Diary of Blood. You do get like a lot of pining and like Regency story level of, you know, looks and glances and grazed fingers and stuff like that. You do also get some very spicy scenes towards the end, at least to me. I enjoyed them, but I wasn't like expecting. I mean, I kind of was and I kind of wasn't, but this one's a little bit spicier than A Diary of Blood, which I think is good because this one also has more of a romantic feel to it, because A Diary of Blood was definitely about like a toxic situation and not a romantic relationship. It was an abusive relationship. And this one, Carmilla and Laura are more on the same footing as they're kind of falling in love or in lust with each other. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Loved it. Had a lot of fun with it. And then Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. I don't have a substantial update for this one. I think I'm about 30-ish% of the way through and I'm enjoying it. I think it's definitely a lot darker than other things that I've read by Darcy Coates. And I think I may, well, I'm 30% of the way through it. So I don't want to say that I feel like maybe I know whodunit. I have a theory. And this one I feel like is a horror forward mystery. It's not like a thriller or anything like that. I enjoy figuring out whodunit. Like when it's not necessarily obvious, but the author gives you the clues and the tools that you need to figure out who it is. So that doesn't impact my enjoyment. And of course, I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think I know whodunit at 30% in, but we'll just have to see in next week's vlog. And I'm not gonna tell you guys because spoilers, obviously, but I will say if I'm right or not, because I feel good about my prediction, but at the same time, I'm okay either way. I'm okay being bamboozled. I'm okay with guessing it. I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to thrillers. So that is going to be it for this cozy weekend vlog. I'm actually hoping, I just got an email from the library that I go to that they're also going to be closed on Wednesday, and that library usually like coordinates with schools in the area on whether or not they're closing as well. Like they're all either open or closed the same days. So I am hoping that that means that my partner at least has like a work from home day tomorrow and doesn't have to drive to work. it's not like a very long commute in the grand scheme of things. It's like 20 minutes, but at the same time, if nothing's been done to the roads, that's just not a good situation. So I'm hoping that he gets another snow day tomorrow, but that is going to be it for this vlog. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for all of the cozy gaming and bookish content. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!